This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 7th year. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Everybody. Yes, this is that thing they call the Ramble. I'm Alex, and we'll be here until midnight tonight. Hello, everyone. Yes, hold on a second. I think I gotta change a few things here. I have I have little problems here now and then that I gotta take care of because there's, when I first go on. Here we go. That's it. That's where we go. Okay, now we're fine. Anyway, what happens is if I, what's the word I'm looking for? If I go away for a couple of days, like let's say we're not on for 5 days between the Friday and the Wednesday, okay, and I come back here, everything has changed. And I've got to change it back, and it's not fun. Anyway, it's time, once a week we sit down and talk with an old friend, somebody who, he's just, part of the mix here that we do every now and then. And I don't see a picture on him. Let me see here. All I've got is his. There we go. Okay, there you go.
It automatically joins without the picture. Maybe it assumes that I'm not dressed.
Something like that. Yeah. Hi. How are you?
I'm okay, but I'm ready to get back to normal. I'm ready for things to be the way they were a couple of years ago. I'm getting really tired of this variant, that variant. This one gives you the flu. I'm just ready. Now they want people in California to mask up again inside.
Yeah. Well, Phil, if that's what we got to do, that's what we got to do if we're going to beat this thing.
I'm not so sure we need to do it.
Well, I think you're being ridiculous. I think whatever happened to your belief and my belief and everybody's belief that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure?
Yeah, I believe that 2 years ago.
No, you're just
and I believed it for 2 weeks.
Yeah, but you're getting to the point where you're getting tired of this, and I'm not. I mean, my feeling is, hey, I hope and I pray that this thing is over soon. But if it's not, then we just go with it for the long haul,
Yeah, well, I'm ready for it to be over,
we're all ready for it to be over, Phil.
Yeah.
But I mean, what are you going to do about it? You can't do anything. You can't change it. Yeah. I mean, at least the feeling is that the Omicron is not that as terrible as we thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
and that the current booster shot will take care of it. Okay, so
they said that Johnson & Johnson is not working on the Omicron.
Johnson & Johnson doesn't work on anybody. Anybody who's got Johnson & Johnson, go out and get the other one.
Yeah.
I mean, the Johnson & Johnson, to begin with, they said, "Oh, it's only one dose." But it was like 71% efficacy, okay? So they go, oh, it's one dose. Okay, it's fine. I'm glad it's one dose. But if it were 2 doses, it'd be up to the efficacy of the other 2. So what they were doing was they were saying, I just get one.
Yeah.
They should have said you got to get 2 of Johnson & Johnson as well.
But the Johnson & Johnson was a perfect shot for homeless people living on the street. Because were you ever going to get those guys to return? I mean, were you ever going to get them to come in for the first shot?
Well, if they at least got one, it gives them some level of protection, you know?
Well, I'm just...
Look, for somebody who's complaining about it, you have all 3 shots, right?
Right.
Right, so shut up.
Plus, I got the flu shot the other day.
Plus, you got the flu shot. Right?
Right. I'm inoculated all over the place.
Yeah.
You know.
So I mean, I just don't I don't buy it. Uh, you gotta go along with it, Phil. You gotta not give up on it, and we're gonna be okay. But it's a long haul deal. I think
Yeah.
it's going to be a long time before we actually see ourselves get back to any kind of normal.
Yeah, it's no fun. San Francisco though is going in an opposite direction than New York when it comes to crime. Our mayor here sounds like Rudy Giuliani is invading her soul, because now she's saying there's no room for crime. We have to go after these people that are doing smash and grabs. We have and London Breed was also coming. The mayor of San Francisco was saying that not the attorney general, but the district attorney of San Francisco, who was the son of a terrorist. What was
He was the son of a terrorist.
Yeah, I believe, was he one of, don't take a drink on this one, but wasn't he the son of one of the SLA people that, or the Weather Underground?
I don't know. I have no idea. What's his name?
Now that, of course,
Well, if you had his name, I could probably tell you whether,
let me look up his name.
Yeah.
SF District.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to have a drink on this one, folks. He already warned you ahead of time.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know if it's going to. There was other things in my search. Chastain or something like that. Bodine. Bodine. Anyway.
Well, anyway, so what if his father was a terrorist? Let's just say that.
Well, he is very progressive. He doesn't want anybody to go to jail. There's no bail. There's no things, and the cops are getting frustrated because people are.
I think you're maybe overstating it. I mean, I'm not there, so I can't fight you on what you're saying, but I think you're probably paraphrasing what's going on there. I'm sure he doesn't let every crime go unchallenged.
Chelsea Bodine.
Bodine.
So there was a Bodine. He's Chelsea Bodine. Kathy Bodine is his mother.
Kathy Bodine, I know that name.
Yeah. Now I think that she was.
She had something to do with the explosion on 8th Street or wherever, right next to Dustin Hoffman's place.
I'm not sure if it was Dustin Hoffman's place, but
Dustin Hoffman's place was right next door, and the building exploded because they were supposedly building bombs.
Oh, okay. It wasn't that they were doing an armored car robbery or something?
I don't know. I mean, well, wait a minute. Hold on a second.
Kathy Bodine.
Kathy Bodine. Did you just look up Kathy Bodine?
Well, I looked up Chelsea Bodine.
Let me look up Kathy Bodine.
Yeah, it might be spelled Boudin.
D-I-N? I don't know. Let me see.
Boudin.
Kathy Bodine, no, teacher. Oh, let me see.
Oh, here she is.
Wait a minute. No, she is.
A former member of the radical left militant organization, the Weather Underground.
Oh, the Weather Underground. Okay, well.
Felony murder for the role in a Brinks robbery in 1981.
Yes.
And the killing of 2 Nyack police officers and 1 security guard.
Okay, so how is it the son's fault?
It's not the son's fault, but his leanings are going to be most likely similar to his parents. I mean, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and but what's happening is now there's a recall to get rid of him. Now in New York, it's the other way around. Your mayor De Blasio is locking down things. He's not supporting he's supporting the no bail, letting people out of jail, as soon as they commit the crime. give him a ticket. And
Well, I mean, I think we overdo punishing crime.
what about
Okay.
the guy in Waukesha, Wisconsin, who ran over his girlfriend?
Wait a minute, 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 wait a
Mother
minute,
of
wait a
his.
minute, wait a minute. Stop there.
Well, they
Stop
let him
there.
out with $1,000.
Stop there. Stop there.
Yeah.
Stop there.
All right.
That I would, I'd say this guy, because he killed, I think, 4 people.
6, I thought.
6, was it?
Yeah.
Driving
what-
his car over them while they were parading.
And he injured 60.
Yeah. I think that guy should have the book thrown at him.
Yeah.
Okay. But I think we make people, we throw the book at some people who shouldn't have the book thrown at them because what they did wasn't that terrible,
I'm sure it depends on whether they're a flight risk or not, or whether they're a danger to themselves or others. But this guy has a rap sheet, 50 pages, and they let him out with $1,000 bail after he ran over a woman.
But you're getting far away from this question of your current
this-
district attorney.
Yeah, well, this is what's happening. These progressive district attorneys, both in New York,
No, people don't go out and commit crimes because a progressive district attorney is lenient on some things. Okay, they don't suddenly say, "Oh, good, it's open season. I can go out and do all these crimes I've been always dying to do." You're nuts, Phil. They just don't. It doesn't operate that way.
now you don't think that these people have been emboldened to do these smash and grab robberies because they
The smash and grab robberies, Phil, and they're saying this, are organized.
on Snapchat.
But they're organized, and they are a form of organized crime.
Yeah, how does Snapchat work?
Wait a minute, but it's not individuals like you and me who suddenly say, "Hey, I think I want a Tiffany."
No, I understand, but it's emboldening people to do certain types of crime because they know that they're not going to be they're not going to be arrested because it's under $950, or if they are arrested,
I don't think
back
that
out on the street in a few minutes.
I don't think that emboldens them. I mean, I don't know what is causing all the crime that we have in this country, but it certainly doesn't have anything to do with leniency. All right.
There's a lot of people that think it does,
Well, I don't.
and me for one.
Yeah. Well, I don't. I mean,
If there's no consequences, some people will do things that because they're not going to be held accountable. Why do you stop at a stop sign when there's nobody around? You do it because it's the right thing to do, and it's the norms of
yes, but
society.
Phil, what I'm saying is I don't think people go around saying I can do this now because we got a district attorney who will let me get away with it. Now, first of all, let's go where you started this conversation.
All right.
You were trying to blame him for being the son of somebody who was with the Weather Underground and I believe built bombs. Right?
I was telling you that this is the progressive district attorney that we have in San Francisco, and I was trying to identify him and his upbringing.
But how do you know that was his upbringing?
Well, that was
Who was the guy? I'm trying to remember his name now. I got to know some of these people. The guy who was. Remember, they said Obama was friends with him.
Oh yeah. That was he became an educator.
Yeah.
He was. I can't remember his name either. But I thought he wasn't SLA. Was he in Weather Underground? Was he one of the Weather Underground?
Yeah. He was one of the guys. He was one of the people that supposedly fled that building that blew up.
Yeah.
Because they were making bombs supposedly inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I got to know. I was in his presence.
David Ayers.
Bill
Ayers.
Bill Ayers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had the same name as a guy named Father Bill Ayers, but Bill Ayers. Yeah. Bill Ayers was. I went to a memorial for a friend of mine who was a leftist, radical, you know. And I went there, and there was Bill Ayers was there, you know, and you know, he actually turned into a very good educator, and he turned into a guy who was really good at building up educational systems and things like that. He didn't hurt anybody. He just blew up a building because they didn't
hurt anybody.
Because they no, he didn't hurt anybody. They all got out of there. Okay. Yeah. Now I don't know. Kathy Bodine, I believe, maybe she was involved in the blowing up of the bathroom at the Capitol, but I don't know that she killed.
On January 6th.
I don't know. I don't know that she killed anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, she killed 2 police officers.
Oh, really?
And a security guard.
All right. I don't know where I know her name from, but I do know her name.
Well,
Okay.
she was Weather Underground, and she was married to one of the other ones. I can't remember. Let me see if I can find who she was married to.
That would be the father of the district attorney.
Yeah, but I think he has a different name. Nah, it's
Yeah, I looked up Kathy Bodine, but all it came up with was like a teacher in somewhere. So
Yeah.
I don't really have it.
son of jailed radicals. Now, jailed radicals must mean that the father gets parole after 40 years. David Gilbert.
Was that him?
I think that's the father, David Gilbert. He was the leader of the Weather Underground, but paroled in 2003.
Is it Bodine with a U-E kind of?
Boudin, not like the bread.
How's it spelled?
Boudin.
Boudin. Okay, Baudin in French.
The father was David Gilbert. I don't remember him.
Oh, okay, here we go. Member of the Radical Weather Underground, who was convicted of a murder, felony murder, for her role in Brink's robbery of 1981. The robbery resulted in the killing of 2 Nyack police officers. She was released from prison and in parole in 2003 and became an adjunct professor at Columbia University.
Yeah. Well, nobody said that she wasn't smart.
Yeah. Now here's the thing. See this, and her children, her only. It says her children. There's only one child by David Gilbert, Chezia Bodine.
Yeah, and he's the district attorney.
It's Cheesa, right?
Yeah.
Now here's my question for you: how old is he?
I don't think he's that old. My guess, just looking at the photos I've seen, I would say he's in his late 30s, early 40s.
So probably he was not raised by her.
Well, she got out in 2003. Yeah, maybe he wasn't raised by her, but you don't think that there's some influence and that, and then also the father,
David Gilbert.
Yeah. What was his pedigree? Who did he kill or blow up?
I don't know.
David Gilbert, guilty of murder.
Well, Bill Ayers had his girlfriend. What was her name? Hold on a second, because she was there too. Bill Ayers.
Birds of a feather, huh?
Bill Ayers. Okay, Bill Ayers. This is bringing by a whole bunch of history that I have a hard time remembering. He's a Roman Catholic. That's Bill Ayers, radio talk show host. We don't want that.
No.
No.
Gilbert was serving 75 years to life for playing a role in a fatal robbery in 81.
Was it Bob Ayers, maybe?
David Bill Ayers is the Weather Underground guy.
Really?
Wait a minute. After being released, he was adopted by Bill Ayers. That was Bodine's adopted father, and Bernadette Dorn was the adopted
Bernadette
mother.
Dorn. Okay. Bernadette Dorn, I also was at this gathering.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I talked about it on this show, if I'm not mistaken, or on the radio show that I was doing at Sirius XM. And what I was talking about was the fact that it was like I thought I was going to be with a bunch of old, radical lefties who were still spouting the same stuff. And what I found were people who had evolved, but also held on to strong beliefs. And
You mean like David Rubin? Was it David Rubin?
David Rubin?
Jerry Rubin. Jerry Rubin.
Oh, Jerry Rubin was a
Didn't he become very conservative?
but he was an asshole. He was really an asshole.
He was a conservative, and to you, all conservatives are assholes.
Yeah, but he was
Bodine was born in August of 1980.
So anyway, Bernadine Dorn, when I've talked about this guy who died. When we used to go upstate to stay with he and his partner. I don't want to call her wife or whatever because that might upset her.
Well, was that the guy that you knew? Not Jerry Rubin. The yippee yuppie.
It was Judy Gumbo and Stu Albert.
Oh no, different guy.
Okay, so Stu Albert and Judy Gumbo, and they had a place upstate, and he was very much I was kind of like, I called him the Henry Kissinger of the lefties. He did all the mediating and so on and so forth. And so we would go up and stay with him. And he and Judy, out in the woods, they had this place. And we stayed there. We found out later that part of their FBI record was that the FBI was spying on that house. And we are listed in there as having come to visit him. Because I have an FBI...
Did you get a copy of your FBI file?
No, I never.
From
I
the
never
Freedom
have.
of Information?
But supposedly, I'm in there because I was known to hang out with radicals.
Well, it'd be interesting to get your.
I was also
Freedom
one
of Information
I,
Act.
I was also one of Nixon's. Not the first list, but there was a second list.
So you were a B list, a B lister in the
of about 10,000 people. Okay. And I was on that list of 10,000 people to be audited by the IRS. Okay. Wow. Okay. So anyway, but the point was that we were staying up there, and I went to sleep. And I caught a nap in the afternoon or something. When I woke up, my girlfriend said, "You know who was here and just left?" And I said, "No." He said, "What's his name? Bill Ayers and Bernadine Dorn." And they were on the run from the law at that time because of the bombing on, I think it was 8th Street or something. I went, darn it, I wish I had done,
So you slept through that.
I slept through them. They stopped momentarily to say hello to Stu and then to move on because they didn't want to stay there because they knew he was probably being watched, right?
And he was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that was a time, years ago. I grew up in those years.
Well, I had some kind of interesting adventures that way. I mean, Abby Hoffman, while he was in hiding, I was hanging out with him.
That's what I thought you were talking about until you told me their names.
No. But it was hard for me to remember all the names and stuff like that. But anyway, so you don't blame this guy because his parents happen to be,
weather-ground radical leftists,
right?
Including Bill Ayers and Bernadette Dorn, who were on the run.
Bernadine Dorn.
Yeah.
Bernadine.
So anyway, that's what we have. But now the mayor of San Francisco, who was in lockstep with Bodine, is now sounding very much like she was in the Rudy Giuliani school of mayor and being a mayor. I'm going to stop the crime, where people are going to go to jail. The district attorney is going to have to start charging these people. And so it's kind of the opposite of what's happening in New York. But in New York, you've got a case right now in the Supreme Court, which is the New York Rifle and Pistol Association versus New York. Mm-hmm. And it's they're arguing for concealed carry permits, and you could see the way the New York solicitor is trying to support her case that they don't want people to have legally. They don't want people to have guns. They're fine taking guns off the street from criminals if they happen to come across them, but they don't want legal possession. And I have a feeling things are going to change in New York with this Supreme Court decision. And and because Build Back Better has sort of gone the way of the dodo bird today,
Well, for temporarily, they just aren't going to take care of it this year.
Yeah, until they can get somebody else to join them. But they're talking about packing the court again and doing everything they can do. They want to federalize the vote, because the leftists want power, and this is how they're going to do it. They know if they federalize the vote, they're going to be able to get around those red states that seem to be a thorn in their side, right?
No. What happens is that the Republicans, through gerrymandering, have jimmy-rigged the system.
Oh, you mean like the states that are popular? That's a gerrymandered state.
No, it's one where you make congressional districts by skirting around certain areas and creating these incredible. I mean,
that's. I think they claim that both sides are doing that. Whenever one side gets in power, they do that to make their case stronger.
Look, I think that it is sad what has happened to the Republican Party. Okay? I always liked the idea of an opposition and a loyal opposition, but the Republicans have gotten pretty skeezy, Phil. And I don't know how you defend it or whether you really just are defending it because you think it makes good programming.
Adam Schiff. They're saying that he made up information about emails from Trump Jr. To Meadows. And so they're finding out that Adam Schiff again is making up stuff, just to try and
where did you hear that he made it up?
I read it on I heard it on Fox and I read it on Epoch.
Okay, so what do those two media sources have in common?
They're going to tell you the truth, where other media sources are going to, left-wing media sources are going to hide that information by burying the story.
Yeah. Let me just bring in some other people here. Stick around, will you? I don't want you going anywhere because here we go. And we have Phil. We have Jeff. Jeff, move your
Kilroy.
We don't. Kilroy was here. People don't know when we say that what that means, but it used to be that everywhere you had pictures of a guy's head, just his head, like his eyes like that, and his hands up like this. I think it was kind of this
over a fence or something.
Yeah, and it was, and the motto was Kilroy was here.
Yeah.
Now, what that had to do with anything, I can't begin to tell you, but I'm just
it's similar to Eat at Joe's.
So, give us more of a camera there. Jeff, just move your camera a little bit more so we can see your whole face.
He likes a beard. Yeah, he likes seeing your beard.
All you guys do you have a laptop? Is that a laptop?
I'm using my wife's thing right now.
Yeah. Now you see you moved it again.
Yeah, just pull it the other way.
Just pull it towards you. Pull the laptop towards you, the lid towards you.
Yeah,
oh, really?
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah. No.
This one, like we could see?
No.
Doesn't want to move.
Are you using?
Oh, there I am.
Are you using a laptop, Jeff? Jeff, can you hear me? There we
that's
go.
it.
Oh, there you go.
Bravo.
Score one for Jeff.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
Hey.
I mean,
went back.
If you wanted to say to me, all of Congress and the Senate suck, I'd go along with you.
Yes, they do.
Okay, then I go along with you. All
Absolutely.
Right? All right. Is that
You know,
simple?
that's why they've had a 13%, what do you call it, satisfaction or 13% approval rating. That, you know, that means that 87% don't approve of what the Congress is doing, and it's been that way for years.
John Larkin's joining us. Hello, John. He's in
Hey,
San Francisco
John.
too. Yeah.
Hey, I just wanted to let you know that that David Gilbert guy never killed the cop. He was driving a U-Haul truck that wasn't even the getaway truck when the murder took place. So
Why did they put him in with the other ones?
because they were fucking railroaded.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Jeff, your head. Look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't you see me now?
No, you were okay there. Now you're okay. See? Okay. Anyway, where were you, John? John, continue with what
Talking
you
about
were
David
saying.
Gilbert.
Yeah.
He was
Pam,
the
if you
father.
could raise it a little.
He is the father of Chesa Bowden, but he never murdered anybody. He was just driving the U-Haul truck, and it wasn't even the getaway car that they used. And he got 75 years prison sentence for that, just for being associated with the people that robbed the bank.
Did Bodine's position help him in being released from jail? And when was he released from jail?
He was pardoned by or commuted by Andrew Cuomo, and in November of this last year. So he was just let out. But he did what, like 50 years or so in prison.
Wow. Pam,
yeah,
wait a minute. Hold on. Pam, you're there with
Yeah.
Jeff. All we want to do is see his full face. Look, you see in the video. You see how
I'm having, yes, I see it. I'm not quite sure.
All you have to do is, are you using a laptop? Yeah.
There we go.
That's
There
what
it
it
is.
is. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Boy, that was
Yeah.
driving me
I was
crazy.
wondering, what was the guy from Kentucky? Is he okay?
Oh,
Hey.
Vernon Nunn?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Vernon's fine.
Alex reached out, helped me reach
I'm
out.
going to tell you something. I know what you're all thinking. Phil is a fucking asshole. All right? All right? And I agree with you. At times I feel he's a fucking asshole. But he got a hold of me the other day when I didn't even know about these tornadoes. And he said, "Is Vernon okay? Can you give me his email address so I can write him?" Or and I said, "Yeah, sure." You know, and that's the kind of person Phil is. You know, I mean, he cared about Vernon, and of course, I think the world of Vernon, but I didn't even know those tornadoes were going on. But that was very nice of you, Phil.
Oh, thank you. You know, I mean, I like Vernon, and even if I didn't like him, I'd still reach out to him. I talked to Tony.
Did you reach out to Shrek? That'd be a funny call.
But I mean, it to begin with. Well, let me ask you.
Well, he did reach out to me, Alex.
I know you.
Phil.
Yeah.
And he told me, "I'm glad your mom died." But I said, "Phil, are you joking?" I'm joking. I know she tried to take me.
Wait a minute. I want to ask John something. The district attorney in San Francisco. What is your take on him?
He's got a tough job. He's not doing a bad job. He's just got a tough job, I mean, the pandemic turned all these crazy people out on the streets.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, I'm not, there are crazy people that come out and take advantage of good protest, I mean, the Black Lives Matter, all those innocent black people that were being murdered deserve, people coming out on the streets.
Mm-hmm.
But, people got overboard and they went crazy. And a lot of those people didn't give a shit about Black Lives Matters. They were just out to rip off, Gucci stores and shit.
Right.
And
right.
those guys should be thrown in jail.
Exactly. Yes.
So let
Alan.
me comment on the DA in San Francisco. So he's only been DA for a couple years in San Francisco. So what you don't get, John, and I'd be happy to forward you if you gave me your email address. You may not even want it, but I get stuff from the San Francisco Police Officers Association, and the cops do not like this guy because a Wait a minute, wait. A lot of cases that are coming to the DA to be prosecuted, he is not prosecuting them. And I don't care if he's super liberal or he's not liberal or whatever, he's not a good DA.
I'm pretty much on the fence. You know, I can be persuaded either way because I live here and I see all the shit on the street every day.
I see it too when I come to San Francisco.
Yeah, it drives me crazy.
He has released, the cops have built the case, against somebody that stabbed somebody, and the guy released him. He said, well, it was mutual combat. 2 little old Chinese ladies at a bus stop get stabbed by this guy, and he releases them, and he goes back out. 2 days later, the guy's crazy. He goes back out and kills somebody. Now the DA's interested.
But do you buy the fact that he was the son of a radical, and so therefore that's why he is the way he is?
Are you talking about the DA?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe, but I think I think he's a horrible DA.
Well, she was in jail probably for most of his upbringing.
Well, he was born in August of 21st, 1980.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
so he was raised by Bill Ayers and some other lady.
Yeah, she was raised by Bill. Well, of course, that's your radical upbringing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's the Weather Underground, right?
Huh?
Was he the Weather Underground? I think he was, right? He was involved in that.
Yeah.
Weather Underground, yeah.
We're talking about San Francisco DA still.
But Bill Ayers has turned out.
His,
let me say this.
That brought him up.
Bill Ayers has turned out to be a pretty exemplary human being. I mean,
he does food thing, Alex. Doesn't he do that food drive or something? I remember reading on that
stuff. I think he's out of. Isn't he out of upstate New York?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Buffalo, something like that. Yeah.
In San Francisco, they want a liberal DA, and that's okay. But the guy's gotta, he's gotta try and do convictions. He's got to try and get the bad people off the street. I don't care about the guy that's in the corner doing meth or something like that. Who cares?
Well, I think
when there's violence involved,
the
DA needs to take a step forward.
But I think that, and you'll probably yell at me for this, but I quite frankly think we are too harsh on crime. In other words, we have far too many people incarcerated. And in California, they're trying to let people go because they just got more people than they can afford to take care of.
Yeah, I know. So I've talked to the cops on the street in the Tenderloin, and I'll say, what about all these guys? They're just stealing out right on the corner in broad daylight. Why don't you guys do something? And they're like, what are we going to do? We arrest them and they're let out immediately because the system can't handle all the small time drug dealers that are on the streets. They just can't handle it. There's no capacity to put all these people in jail. You got the small time drug dealers, you got the crazy people, homeless people on the street. You just got no room for them.
Yeah.
So to bring up something that Phil was talking about, included in all this, I think the bad guys watch what the DA will do, and if they know they can get away with crimes, they will do more.
I don't
wait a minute,
really.
Let me give you an example. In California, the last DA in San Francisco put together a law. Gaston put together a law called Proposition 47 in California, and it backfired on him. I mean, I don't think he anticipated what was going to happen, but Proposition 47 said, release all the people that were convicted of low-level crimes, auto burglary, all that kind of crap, which was a low-level crime to him. And then the city went nuts. Car break-ins constantly, and the new law says, not including the damage to the car, they don't arrest somebody unless there's at least $1,001 worth of stuff taken out of the car, not including the damage they do breaking the window to get into the car.
I'm afraid to drive my car into San Francisco. I actually had a safe. It's 40 inches wide and like 18 inches deep, bolted in the back of my car so that if I have something of value and I need to park somewhere in the city, I can put it in there, and they're going to need a lot more than a crowbar to get it out.
Yes.
No, but
Just
they,
take the car.
Right.
yeah,
Right.
I was going to say that they
Absolutely.
could just steal the
So,
car. You know.
I mean, they had Proposition 47. Then a couple of years later, if it wasn't bad enough in California, they came out with Proposition 57, which made it, if a homeless guy breaks into a car or is doing a low level offense like using meth or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
he gets schooling or a slap on the wrist. These people that get arrested for these low level crimes, not all of them, but a lot of them will turn into big time criminals.
Well, they'll just keep doing what they're doing.
Absolutely.
Well,
One thing though about this recall of Bowden, I'm not sure I agreed with that because who's going to take his place? And if you look at the money that's behind this group that's doing the recall, it all comes from right wing Republican.
No, they're saying it comes from Soros. George Soros is funding these people. In Contra Costa County, we have also a Soros appointed, or not a Soros funded,
A very liberal
DA.
DA.
Yeah,
Soros doesn't even
saved
have any.
$250 to the person running against her, Mary Knox.
No, not Soros. Come on.
Well, that's what they're saying.
Forget about Soros for a minute. The recall in San Francisco for the DA, I think they can do better. It's a big city, and you need somebody that's not.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Let me say.
Gaston was the previous DA, and he's no good for L.A. Gaston, look what they're doing. They're trying to recall him out of L.A.
Can I please say something?
Too much Fox News, Phil. Don't find that.
No, I agree with Phil.
I guess I can't say
Fox
anything.
Oh, Alex wants to say
Fox News,
something.
and I
No,
agree.
what I'm saying is that I think that we are just a little too harsh in our sentencing. I'm not saying that people shouldn't be called to account for something they do. To begin with, I think there should only be one thing that makes something a crime. Did it hurt somebody? And to what extent? And if
So stealing all your stuff and breaking your car window when you park to go have
then
dinner
you're
with
hurting
friends.
somebody.
It's not a physical hurt like stabbing somebody, but yeah.
But we have a lot. But we
And
have
look at the consequences, Alex, of what's happening to stores, Walgreens.
Okay, all right. I'm tired of this because here's why I'm tired of it. Okay, and let me just make this point.
Yeah.
I think that the problem with cops is, and the problem with the job they're given, is they're not there to protect people. They're there to protect property.
No, they're there
No,
to take
they're there to
the other way around.
No, you were a cop. Phil was a cop. Believe me, cops are simply the gatekeepers for preventing people from doing something to property. That's the main thing. We spend
cops
more
don't
time
wanna-
arresting people
Alex-
for crimes against property, burning property, doing this to property, doing that to property. And when something happens to people, we're not as aggressive. We're not as aggressive.
Cops don't want to do anything anymore. The last 2 years and the things that are going on, they say, why should I risk my retirement, my livelihood, everything I've worked for this? Hey, let them kill each other and we'll just take the report.
Anybody else have something to say here? Yes.
So Phil, you basically are arguing against the Fox News theory that the Democrats are causing all the crime. You just said it's the cops are.
No,
are
that's not what I said. What I said is that the cops don't want to put themselves in a position where they're going to get sued or go to jail or end up like that guy with the George Floyd thing. They don't want to. They don't want to put themselves in that kind of position.
So that's what that right there argues against the case that the Democrats are causing all the problems.
No. You're
okay.
All
right.
He's not saying the Democrats are
just
causing all the problems.
take a little breath, Phil, and let's hear from some other people here.
Yeah, I want to hear what Alan says about that.
Well,
What Alan's, I don't. Alex wants to hear from other people.
yeah. Vernon, hi. How you doing?
You
I'm
weathered
doing
the
okay.
storm.
Yeah, tornado.
I'm doing
Al-
okay.
Yeah.
The problem is we've got another tornado watch
Oh,
on the
no.
horizon because it
No.
was 68 degrees today in December.
It's interesting, the Tornado Alley, which used to be a designation given to a bunch of states in the Midwest and Oklahoma and places like that.
Yep. It's now
Tornado
shifted
Alley
east.
is now moved east.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the sad
Alex?
thing is, coming up this weekend, it's supposed to be cold and rainy when these people are trying to dig out from all the rubble in Maysville,
Wow.
Mayfield.
How far away from you is that?
Mayfield is about a 2.5-hour drive
Okay.
from where I live.
Did you
That's
feel
close.
any of the consequences of the tornadoes where you were?
Not at all. Not at all.
Good.
There was a little damage down in Spencer County, which is about 40 miles southeast of where I live.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of damage there, but most of it was concentrated in western Kentucky,
Okay.
Dawson Springs, Bowling Green, those areas.
Yeah.
I heard the Corvette plant. This would be Brian's territory, but the Corvette plant was destroyed or damaged in Bowling Green.
Most of the damage was in a residential neighborhood. They had 500 houses destroyed in Bowling Green.
Yeah.
500.
Wow. That's like up here when we have the wildfires.
You know something? As long as we're talking about the tornadoes, I get so mad watching the news because they spent like the first 15 minutes every night for 3 nights running on the early evening news covering the tornadoes in Kentucky. Now, I think that's fine, and I think it's an important story. But it wasn't so much that they were reporting the story as much as they were exploiting the people who were the story. Did you
I
get that
agree.
feeling?
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, they go to somebody and she says, and I lost everything I have. And then she breaks down, she starts crying. And rather than saying, cut, let's not broadcast this, they broadcast every tear.
No, that's
they
today's
try to make
television.
them cry more.
Huh?
They
That's
try to
today's
make them cry
television.
more. How do you feel about that? Did you see that? Is that your baby's blanket on the floor? Is that your baby's crib over there? And they try to make them cry more.
They poke him with a stick.
I've told this story before when we had the big earthquake, Loma Prieta,
89.
in '89.
Yeah.
And I was in the marina, and the marina was pretty much devastated, if you may remember, at least everything below Chestnut Street. I was helping a friend of mine. My apartment had some cracks in the wall, but that was about it. It was very small damage. I lost a bookcase fell. All right. But this person, her building was redlined, and what redlined was you had to go in with a member of the fire department or whatever and get your stuff out, and then you had like 20 minutes or 30 minutes to get your stuff out, and then you had to find some place to stay. So I went and helped her pack up her stuff. Phil, wait a moment. To pack up her stuff, and we put it in a. I remember in a what do you call it? One of those
Garbage bag?
No, in a
Wheelbarrow?
No, it's on wheels. Thing like
Wagon.
Yeah, wagon, little wagon. Kids use. And we were taking what stuff of hers we could grab in 20 minutes, and we're walking out of the marina. And we're walking past the house that had come all the way down. In fact, somebody was in that house when it came down.
On Divisadero and North Point?
No,
or
it was
Jefferson?
one street over from Divisadero. I can't remember what street it was.
Broderick.
No, Broderick is the other way.
Away? Yeah.
But anyway, because I lived on Broderick. I lived on North Point and Broderick. Okay. But anyway, the point was, don't flummox me up, Phil. I'm getting old here, and I'm trying to get through a story. And the building, literally, what had been a 3-story building was now a 1-story building. And the story goes that house actually came down, and somebody who survived it just walked, as soon as it hit bottom, walked out the window.
And they were on the 3rd floor.
They were on the 3rd floor. Yeah.
Wow.
So anyway, let me finish the story, Phil, please.
I was going to just have a conversation with you.
No, I don't want a conversation right now. I want to tell the story and get through it. Right. So we're standing there, and all of a sudden a reporter comes up to us and says, "Do you mind if we talk to you?" And we went, "Sure, fine, that's okay," you know. And so the camera points itself at us, and the guy points his microphone at us, and they turn on the camera, and the minute they do that, all of a sudden there are 20 other cameras. It was like pigeons on popcorn. And they're asking us some of the stupidest questions you've ever heard in your life. And one of them, finally, the woman who was with me got pissed off at one of the people. They said, there was supposedly somebody died in that building over there. Did you see it? And I said, she said, yeah, I saw them taking the body out. They said, what did it look like? And she yelled at him and she said, he was dead. Now, why don't you just leave us alone and let us get on with our stuff? But the way in which they exploit tragedy is disgusting. And I'm sure you're sick of watching it, Vernon, because, you know, it's happening in your neck of the woods.
Not only that, but all the local TV stations had to send their reporters down there with their live action cams for the 12 o'clock news and then the 4 o'clock news and all. And it was all regurgitation.
Sometimes it winds up that there are more cameras there than there are people in the end. You know, I mean, it just gets ridiculous.
One of the sad things about the tornadoes hitting is Kentucky's COVID rate. You know, they talk about in Lexington, 60% of the people are vaccinated, but 100 miles to the east, very few people are vaccinated, and the hospitals are being overrun now. They're running out of oxygen. They have no beds. And so this is one thing on top of another. And, you know, I just...
See, unvaccinated, though. Screw them.
I don't understand people. It's mainly, the states that are mainly overrun by COVID right now are, guess what? Red
Michigan,
state.
Which is a blue state.
Okay, but Michigan's a different story. But
wait. They're not overrun by COVID. They're overrun by unvaccinated people.
Absolutely.
So screw them.
That's right.
You know, I mean, you say Michigan. Why don't you try Texas? Why don't you try Florida? Why don't you try Kentucky? Why don't you try any one of a number of red states?
Tennessee
that have the highest rates of infection in the country.
Well, what
Alabama?
What about Florida, which doesn't?
Yeah, but Florida does. Can't trust those records.
Florida does, Phil.
That state fired their data analyst that was in charge of tracking.
I mean, I was talking to Albert yesterday, and he said, "Oh, COVID's terrible down here. It's just it's a real problem down here."
Yeah, that governor of that state is so crooked. He's worse than Trump.
The unfortunate thing is he will probably run for president, DeSantis, in 2024.
Well, Brian, hello to Brian. Kind of a big difference between this and Monday shows, right?
Yeah.
Why? What happened on Monday?
Nothing. The Monday shows are just... I finally have re-subtitled the show A Bunch of Nice People. Oh. You know, because it really is just nice people just talking pleasantly with each other about, the weather, and it's so refreshing. That it's
Shecky's movie reviews.
Shecky's movie reviews, yeah. But
I mean, remember we keep talking about COVID spikes and all this stuff. If people were vaccinated, it'd be a lot different.
Yeah.
So can I give you some examples of the Bay Area positivity rate right now?
People are vaccinated in California.
Yeah, right. So LA County has 1.7% positivity rate. A year ago, it was around 12 or 14%. San Francisco is 1.8. Alameda County is 1.6, and Contra Costa County is the winner with 2.2% positivity rate.
Because people are vaccinated.
Vaccines work. And Phil, I know you don't agree with this. Masking works.
Yeah.
I just said I'm tired of masks.
And so masks.
Phil has his mask on
but
right now.
I'm tired too, but
I am too, Phil. I think
I'd
we
rather
all
be
are.
tired than dead.
Yeah, we're all exhausted.
Excellent
Phil.
point, John. I agree.
But
Yeah.
you know,
I really don't see any downside to the mask. I'm tired of it too.
we're
But
tired, but there's nothing we can do about it for the time being.
so
you know.
some of the things that the masking is doing that the COVID shot's not doing is colds and flus are down around here too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The mask is responsible for that, not the COVID shot.
Yeah. So I mean, what are you going to do? You know, I mean, it's going to be like this for quite a while.
Yeah,
I think so.
Phil, you're not an anti-vaxxer, are you?
No.
I got all the vaccine shots.
Well, you're not you believe it.
And you're a typical
I don't know if he
Republican.
believes
But I
it,
do
but he got the
believe-
shots.
I do believe that people should have the right to decide whether they want to do it or not. I don't believe that it should be mandated. From
No,
the
they
government.
shouldn't have the right.
They shouldn't. Yeah.
They shouldn't.
They shouldn't.
It's a public health
what,
issue.
what they're doing,
It's a public health issue.
what they're doing
Yeah,
You
is
shouldn't have the right to walk around town with your dick hanging out.
But they do that, and
They do that in Tenderloin.
yeah, you know, if you go up around Church or Castro and Market, you know,
I
what the
agree.
law says that if you're nude and you sit on a bench, you have to put a napkin or something underneath
Yeah,
your push.
Yeah.
you see when
Only in San Francisco.
when you cause yourself to be the spreader of disease, you're going to maybe kill somebody by doing that,
They'll kill themselves.
and probably kill
Maybe.
themselves too. But you're going to take some other people with you, and that should be against the law.
Well, if they're vaccinated and they have a mask on, how you know?
If
how
a
are
guy
these
goes
other-
around shooting a gun in this atmosphere, it's no different than somebody walking around with COVID sneezing.
So we're vaccinated
or
here.
with AIDS
Phil?
screwing people.
Phil,
Yes.
Phil, we're vaccinated around here, and that's why the positivity numbers are so low. But in the states that Vernon just named, they're not vaccinated, and that's part of the reason the numbers are so damn high.
Unless somebody with AIDS had sex with someone and didn't tell them that they had AIDS, they weren't prosecuted. What they're doing, so you know, people could have a deadly disease like AIDS back in the 1980s, and you know,
But you
there was
don't
no,
get, you
there was
don't
no
get AIDS
federal
by
mandate.
walking by somebody.
There was no federal mandate. You know, I mean, you know, if people would spit on people, that you know, you could transfer.
don't
What
get
kind
AIDS
of
that
what kind
way
of
either.
federal mandate would you give in the case of AIDS when there wasn't a vaccination to prevent it?
I wouldn't. I wouldn't have a federal mandate for it or anything else.
Well, they closed down all the bathhouses in San Francisco.
That's why Phil is so lonely.
But they didn't want. Yeah, sure. They didn't close down the bathhouses right away.
Yeah, they did.
no,
Very early in the 80s.
I remember that
hold
there
on a
was a
second. Hold on a second,
newspaper.
Phil. No, I'll tell you exactly what happened with the closing down of the bathhouses. There was the head of public health in San Francisco was a guy by the name of Mervyn Silverman. I remember the name. And Mervyn Silverman closed down those bathhouses. And do you know who were the first people to come along and just vilify him for that, and ultimately got Silverman fired? Were the gay publications. And why was it wait a minute, why was it the gay publications?
They used to advertise
Because they're almost all of their advertising in those gay publications was for bathhouses.
Yeah. What was the big gay newspaper in San Francisco?
I don't know, the Examiner.
No,
Bay-
it was something else. The Guardian, not the Guardian.
The Bay Area
Bay
Reporter.
Times.
No.
Well, in any event, what happened
talking
was
about
what
something
happened
else.
was no.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Vernon.
What do you want to talk about?
Anything
Jeff
but
wants to
AIDS.
talk
I
about
just
it.
want
Wait a minute,
to.
well, somebody let Vernon talk.
Anything but something trying to make a false equivalency between AIDS and COVID.
Yeah,
That's
right.
bullshit.
Right.
Yep.
Not a false equivalence.
It is.
It is a false equivalence.
Only if you want.
You
A
can't.
respiratory disease compared
Unless you're
to
out.
a
Unless you're out in
disease.
public, Phil, and you're masturbating and jerking off and spewing your semen on somebody, you're not going to get AIDS from out in public.
Well, The only thing I have to say about that
he's-
Larry, is in the
Vernon-
early stages of AIDS, they really didn't know how it was being spread. So in the beginning of it, the first few years, then you could say it's pretty much the same.
It didn't take that long.
Jeff wanted to say something.
Well, it was at least a
Never
year.
get
Yeah,
the
I-
chance.
Oh, wait a minute, Jeff.
I just wanted everybody to realize that the number of universities and colleges are closing down right now as often as they can. It's the end of the season,
Yep.
and they're
Yep,
saying,
they are.
get out of here,
Yes. Right.
go home, don't stay here. Take your university and work at home again,
But
which they
yeah.
started, but now they're going back to it.
But I agree with Vernon that the equivalency of this when you say, well, what about AIDS? I mean, it has nothing to do with this. Entirely different form of transmission. Wait a minute, entirely different situation, and I think if there was anything that was wrong with those times was Ronald Reagan's total obliviousness to the AIDS problem. And almost saying it wasn't dangerous or didn't exist or whatever for the longest time until enough people died.
C. Everett Koop was the not Attorney General. What do you call him?
The Surgeon General.
Medical guy for that, and he told Reagan time and time again, this is not a gay disease. This is going to affect straight people too. And Reagan, until his last year in office, never said the word publicly AIDS. What a great Republican.
Yeah.
A lot of people died because of him. Just like our last Republican.
Our last Republican killed about how many? Almost 500,000 people.
Yep.
About the same amount that the current one has killed. The current.
No, Phil.
Close enough.
No. There were like 500,000 dead by the time Trump left office, maybe more.
You're getting your statistics from CNN.
No,
I don't believe those statistics.
Biden's telling everybody to vaccinate. That's the
He's
difference.
also telling everybody to wear a mask, unlike Trump.
I think Biden gets a cut from Big Pharma.
Let's talk about the mandate, because it really frustrates me when I see politicians get up here and talk about no mandates. We shouldn't have mandates. But if you listen to what the Biden administration was talking about as far as contractors for the federal government, number one, okay, if you're a contractor for the federal government, you need to implement either the employees get vaccinated or they run through a more rigid testing protocol. It's not vaccinate or get fired. It's you vaccinate or you get tested much more rigorously.
How come in
they always
New
want to
York,
forget about the second part.
No, Vernon, how come in New York all of these firefighters and nurses and so forth are being fired because they're not taking the shot due to the mandate?
There's hardly
I don't
any.
know. I don't know about New York, Phil. So, and I'm sure you don't either.
There's
What you know
hardly
about
any.
to begin with, we have a very
listening to on Fox News.
I was born there.
To begin with, here in New York,
So
we have a
what?
very high vaccination rate. Okay, one of the largest in the country.
But I have to
Percentage
say,
of
Alex,
people-
the FDNY and the police have one of the lowest vaccination rates in.
Not anymore, Tony.
Yeah,
the
that's what I heard.
It's about maybe 70%, Alan.
The numbers are coming up.
Yeah, but if
And
you
that-
if
It's
you
still
are
low
if you are a
compared to, like, the
cop,
regular
if you
citizens.
are in service of the city, and you are not vaccinated, goodbye. Your job is over.
Well, that's what they're trying to push
Pack
for,
your
yeah.
stuff up and go home. And I think that's the thing to do.
The military's doing that. The military just gave dishonorable discharges, not the Air Force branch of the military, to 72 members that refused to get vaccinated. Goodbye.
Didn't they do the same thing in California? I think I saw some California highway patrolman saying, "This is my last day on the job" or something.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing that. They're not forcing it. The governor came up with a mandate that all public employees, including police and fire, have to get it. But I haven't heard of a lot of firing happening in California.
Didn't they postpone firing and so forth when they were met with these issues?
Maybe so.
that nobody was getting fired because there were so few people that weren't following the mandate.
I wouldn't say nobody.
Kevin,
but,
Kevin, you
a
want to
few.
get your 2 cents worth in here?
Who are you talking to?
Talking to Kevin. Kevin?
Hello, Kevin.
Kevin, can you hear us? I just want to know if you wanted to get your 2 cents worth in here.
No, go for it. I've been kind of half in and half out.
Oh, okay. Well,
Put them all in jail.
When you're half out, what are you doing?
I'm not half in.
That's it?
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I agree with Vernon that you can't equate what's been going on now with almost anything that's happened in the past. You always try to go, well, what about this? Well, whataboutism doesn't work here, you know? This is a very unusual situation. We've never been faced with anything quite like this. We could argue that the Spanish flu was an equivalent, but it wasn't really, because today, if the Spanish flu came along, I think just antibiotics would take care of it. You know.
So the way they got rid of the Spanish flu, there were no vaccines. Vaccines had not been prevented. And I know this is going to be a shock to you, Phil, but the way they got rid of people to stop them from getting the Spanish flu was something called a mask. The public health officials in San Francisco,
I disagree with you.
cities,
That prevented people from getting it.
That's right.
And if you look at pictures back then,
yes,
people
that
were all
people,
people.
and that really slowed
Wait a
down.
minute.
the
Hold on a
Spanish
second.
flu.
Let me say what I was going to say. If you see pictures of that period, you see people wearing masks all over the place. It looks like it could have been taken yesterday here.
Absolutely.
But you know how it came to an end?
No.
Enough
I
people
don't
died.
know. No, on a Monday, it suddenly disappeared. It just suddenly disappeared. Nobody can figure out why. But all of a sudden, it just burned itself out. Sunday, you had Spanish flu. Monday, no new cases.
So we could be. I'm sorry, Tony. We could be at the end of the like Delta versions of variants. So Omicron spreads quickly, kind of like a cold, but for the most people right now, what they know about it is that it's not making people deathly ill. They're not getting hospitalized and dying. And so there's a theory out there in England that it may be taking its course too, and the variants are going to become less deadly than Delta, and that would be a nice thing.
Tony?
Yeah, and another thing to take into effect with the Spanish flu is that we didn't have the transportation we had back then. That's why with this, when we got hit with this,
what happened with today, if we had Spanish flu, antibiotics would probably take care of it. That's simple.
I mean, and plus it was more isolated, right, Alex, back then, because you had no planes, you had really no mass transportation to get it out of a certain area.
Now you know where the Spanish flu started.
Where did they get that from?
Colorado.
On an army
Kansas.
base here in the United States.
It was in Kansas.
It was in Kansas, yeah.
Yeah, an army base.
Colorado, what's the difference?
Yeah.
One less tornado.
Good book to read right here.
Oh, okay. What's it called?
I just started it, but
what's it called?
the Great Influenza.
Oh, yeah, it's supposed to be good, yeah.
Yeah.
You getting it on Amazon? I didn't read that.
You were trying to
I
say
just started
something, Vernon?
Sorry?
You were trying to say something?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
Oh, by the way, Tony keeps saying he wants to come out and stay on my sofa.
Yeah, I might visit them.
Look behind me. Just pick one of those tents. You can.
I can see that right down the block from me by the Queens Boulevard, actually.
Is that your street?
That's,
Oh my
that's
God,
the
is that
street that Phil lives on.
I can't believe
No,
it.
that's where I live. You see, I'm the one with the blue top.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very stylish.
Yeah.
I see. How
I
much
didn't know
would-
you were homeless, Phil.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not homeless. I, just 4 tents down on the left.
He's supplying all the
Doesn't look
tents with
too bad.
carpet.
Yeah.
What do you-
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just, I just don't understand why people don't have a feeling. Some people don't have a feeling.
I think you're right, Alex.
Let me
They're so
finish, Tony.
self-
Tony, let me
Oh.
finish. Why
Yeah, go ahead.
is it every time I start talking, somebody suddenly interrupts me? And I try to not interfere much and let you guys go at it. But the thing is that there should be a sense of community here that just doesn't exist among a certain group of people. When you say, Phil, that, well, people shouldn't be forced to blah, blah, blah. No, they shouldn't. We shouldn't have to force them.
That's right. We
no,
shouldn't.
We
have
shouldn't
to
have
force
to force them.
I agree with that.
Because they won't
They should
do
volunteer.
it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And I think that you would get less resistance and you would have more people volunteering if you didn't have these mandates.
My kids are forced to take shots, vaccination shots, to go to school.
They're kids.
Phil,
Yeah,
what's
but
the
is it what
difference?
you-
So does that mean all the kids should get vaccinated then? They should be mandatory vaccinated?
I don't think that the kids need the vaccinations. Putting a 5-year-old or a 3-year-old or an infant in a mask.
Do you know there are
I don't have
infants?
an infant, thank God.
Another Republican that knows more about science and medicine.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, well, at least I know a little more about weight loss.
Who
than-
died and made you Dr. Fauci?
Yeah,
That's right.
really.
You know.
All right.
But I mean, it's just a matter of people being decent citizens and saying, we know the way you wipe this thing out is get a shot, wear a mask. Okay? But you have a whole segment of the public, and I needn't tell you who the majority of those people are, Phil, who are resisting getting the vaccination, resist wearing the masks, and they're doing that, and they are endangering the rest of the public, and they're slowing down the progress of getting rid of this disease.
And they're dying.
So
They're un-American, Phil.
To separate, to take politics out of the picture, we're going to continue, even if everybody in this country was fully vaccinated today, variants are going to come up and cause issues because most of them are being developed outside our country. And so you've got to really vaccinate the world, not just
Alan,
Republicans and
developed? You mean there's they're making these variants in a lab, or?
No, I didn't say that.
Well, you said they're being.
Where did the one from the Omicron come from? Somebody.
Well, Marvel. That sounds like a Marvel character.
South Africa.
Omicron. It's like a Shogun warrior.
Omicron.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Sounds like an Avengers title.
I just watched Hawkeye. It was good, the last episode.
What?
Yeah.
Hawkeye, you got to watch it. I just watched the last episode. It was actually good.
Yeah, I'm still I was halfway through it before I came in to do the show.
Oh, I won't tell you what happens at the end.
Well,
They all die. They all die.
No, but that's Scarlett Johansson's sister, right?
Yeah, yeah, but you'll see who comes. A bad guy comes in at the end. You'll see.
Trump?
I'm okay with
He's
the
good, he's good as a guy,
Republicans
too.
not getting vaccinated as long as they don't infect the Democrats, because the 2022 election's coming up and maybe they won't have enough people to vote.
Anybody watching Yellowstone?
No.
Nope.
No.
I like it.
You know, I was going to ask Vernon too. Like, I agree with Vernon. I just can't get over like the whole how these people are so against taking it back. Is it more of a political statement? I was just trying to wrap my head around it.
Well, right, Vernon, it's become a political issue, and it shouldn't be. Since when is good health a political issue?
Right.
Well, at one time, being a good American meant looking out for your fellow man.
Mm-hmm.
It means being a good citizen. It means doing more for the society as a whole, even if you have to sacrifice a little bit personally. That has gone out the window with today's political environment, and it makes me sick.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah,
Well, it was also
When we go to a store, there's so many people who don't wear a mask.
They take a gun with you and shoot them.
I tell you,
I don't have a gun.
I did mention to
Sorry.
Marjorie.
I'll
though.
send you
We'll
one.
allow it.
I did mention to Marjorie, and it was the case that we had here today. I got delivery of a half refrigerator, a beverage
Yeah.
cooler.
Half a refrigerator.
Yeah,
One of those wine refrigerators.
yeah, and the guy brought it in, and he wasn't wearing a mask, and neither were we. I mean, it's just gotten to the point where if you're vaccinated, you just go, well, yeah. But I thought about it, and I went, maybe we should have.
I feel uncomfortable.
I
You should have made him show his papers.
Yeah.
I go into people's
Yeah.
houses, and sometimes they're not wearing a mask, but I'm wearing it because it's the rule. In Contra Costa County,
Mm-hmm.
if you're conducting business or you're inside, I wear the mask. Plus, I don't want to get sick. So I'm wearing the mask for me.
Mm-hmm.
And
there you go. There's the bottom line. You're right on target.
But
Phil.
when you talk about being a loyal American, okay, being what's the word I'm looking for? Being a patriot.
Patriotic.
Isn't part of being a patriot, doing this, taking care of this,
Right.
Yes, John.
So when I work at the Golden Gate Theater, usually most of the crowd is in their 70s, 60s, and 80s, and they're all masked up and stuff. But then when I work at the Warfield, it's always a younger crowd, and none of those people wear masks. They're just like, fuck it.
Yeah.
You got to shoot them too.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting a lot, aren't we? Getting a lot of concerts where people aren't wearing masks, and these.
I don't know. UC Theater, everybody's masked up.
Okay. Indoors, you should be masked. Outside, really. I mean, it's not making.
No, I think if you're in a crowd with a couple of thousand people, it's not a bad idea. Even if there was no Omicron or COVID, maybe it's still not a bad idea.
How did you all of a sudden change your thinking in the period of less than an hour?
I didn't change. I just said I was tired of wearing the mask.
Okay.
That isn't necessarily that I wasn't.
To change the subject, for a quick second, I went in the grocery store today and I just bought like 2 bags worth of stuff. Not much more than I normally buy.
$100.
$50.
That went up. I know. I go for stuff.
If I bought 50 in the 5 years ago, 10 years ago in New York City, if I bought $50 worth of food, I'd have to make it so they deliver it to my house.
Hey, out here, I'm paying $5 for regular, and probably. Do you have to put premium, Brian, in your car?
Yeah, but there's one down here. It's a $4.60 right now.
Oh, okay.
Whoa.
Gas has certainly gone up, and gas is just one thing. I guess meat is also.
Well, now hold on a second. I can always price meat by what I pay for it at a certain time. I like to make ribs, okay, and get baby back ribs. I get down the street and I get a slab of it like this for $10. It's $25 now for a smaller slab.
Kosher baby back ribs, nice.
Go to Stop and Shop.
But I mean, no, I'm saying you go to Stop and Shop, you're going to find it expensive.
Yeah.
And
you know what they wanted for a head of lettuce and Stu Lennox, Alex? I went with my sister, $5 for a head of lettuce. I put it
holy shit.
I was
four and change, almost $5.
Vernon?
The problem we're having in Louisville is not supply of food or medicines, it's people. Our Walgreens drugstore that we used to frequent, now we've changed, are so short on pharmacists that we had to switch over to a CVS because these guys are closing every Sunday because they don't have enough people to keep the pharmacy open on Sunday. The Kroger's that's right down the street from me, it's 1.5 miles from me, their meat counter is empty almost every day, and it's because they don't have employees to man the meat counter.
Vernon, I read something this morning about pharmacists that they're getting burned out because they're also doing the COVID shots along with delving out the pills and things. And they're saying that their accuracy on doing the pharmacy work is being impacted by the extra strain of doing the COVID vaccinations and flu shots. And they're understaffed. And so they're quitting.
Talk about burnout. Talk about the doctors and nurses. If everybody had got vaccinated this year,
the hospitals,
then if you go in for a heart attack or something like that, you can get treated. But with people not vaccinated, then the whole hospital's full of COVID patients.
How do we get back to this? I was trying to move the subject over to the cost of living,
What is this guy doing?
and all of a
Alan's a
sudden,
broken record.
Alan's back with COVID.
Yeah, COVID and Republicans.
Are you guys fighting?
No.
No.
You
Hey,
guys
we
seem
do this
there's a lot
never.
of tension tonight.
Hey,
Oh,
no,
you ought to hear us on the phone.
do this on the
I don't
phone.
think Alan
Every-
actually.
every day
I
just
don't think
about
Alan
talking
actually
bullshit.
listens to the show.
Hmm?
I think he's just thinking of what he's going to say next.
Right.
You know.
The
I'm
only
right.
thing I'm seeing come back down is plywood. Plywood is actually coming back down in price. It was over
Oh, that's
$100 for a big sheet. Now it's back down to 50 again.
Really?
Down to 50. It hasn't come all the way down.
Okay, so it's
Wire
improved.
at the Home Depot has come back down a little bit too.
But, yeah.
At one time last year, a 250-foot roll of 12-2 Romex was almost $200. It's dropped back down now to about $150.
Yeah. Yeah, so my friend was showing pictures from Home Depot. I forgot you worked there.
Hey, if prices don't come down, I'm going to start using knob and tube instead of.
Well, what's surprising is when we were short on supply, even when the prices went up on wire, and I work in the electrical department at my store, even with the prices going up, the construction in Jefferson County has been through the roof for the last year and a half.
Everywhere.
Well,
Yeah, we've been doing our whole house, and yeah, he had to increase the price a little bit because of the plywood. So, but now it's come back down. So
Jeff, how are expensive are things where you are?
Who?
Jeff?
The prices of eggs are like double what they were the other day.
Really?
And they had hardly eggs at the same time. So Pam had to go to another store
Wow.
to get eggs yesterday. or
That's
today.
amazing.
Yeah, I always buy the most expensive egg I can find that's organic, and the price has gone up considerably. I used to pay like $6-7 a dozen. Now it's like 12, 13.
$6 for eggs. I can get it for like $2.50.
This is the guy that stops for breakfast at McDonald's and gets his whatever sandwich and the price of eggs.
Those are $11.
Quickly,
$11.
Kevin, how
Away.
are prices in your neck of the woods?
They're about the same, except I get my eggs down the street from a friend on a farm for free, pretty much.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
Careful, Phil's going to be knocking on your door soon.
yeah.
Free range.
Yep, duck eggs or chicken eggs, whatever.
I never
Whatever you
understood. I
got.
never understood free range. What is that exactly?
Well,
I don't know.
the chickens walk
No
around.
cages.
No,
No
n-
cages.
No cages, but I mean, here the chicken goes, "Hey, this isn't bad," I got to, and then they cut his
they
head
got-
off. I mean, it ends up the same way.
They got TVs for the chickens.
It winds up the same way, and I quite frankly would like to eat a chicken that has nothing left to live for.
Well,
know?
have you ever seen how they pack these chickens in and the way they're?
We just had chicken for dinner. dude.
I mean, if you saw the
Have
way
you ever
the
tried to
regular
converse with a chicken?
I
chicken- yeah,
had it for dinner. I had boneless chicken.
they always are trying to cross the road.
Why do they do that, Phil?
They get to the other side.
Yeah, okay. I've just had to
You need
ask.
cable.
I just had to ask that. Well, we've had an interesting evening this evening, and I'm glad to see, Vernon, that you're not in harm's way yet,
Safe and sound, safe and sound.
safe and
So
sound.
you're in.
Yeah, I looked you up on the FCC website to see where you're at, so I knew Louisville was out of the range.
Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the thing: all the damage and injuries that they had down in that part of the state. There's only 2 trauma hospitals in Kentucky. One's in Louisville and one's in Lexington, and each one of them is like a 2-hour helicopter flight.
Wow. Anyway, hey, listen, that's it. Thank you, Phil, for sticking around. Alan, thank you so much for the medical advice.
Dr. Allen.
Dr. Allen.
Dr. Allen. Yeah. Also, thanks to John Larkin and to Tony Magno and to, of course, Vernon Nunn. Jeff, always good to see you here. Kevin, always great to have you here. It's always a pleasure to have Brian around as well. And how's the kid? Okay? Cool?
Yeah, she's doing good.
We haven't seen her tonight. What's up with that?
No, she's busy.
She's growing up. Okay? Anyway, everybody give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a big wave goodbye at you, okay? There they go, folks. There goes our citizen panel. All right, they're gone. And anyway, I still haven't figured out why I'm out of sync, but what the hell? Who cares? It's only the end of the show, and so you don't have to see me and, you know. Anyway, Jack Bishop is next. He's here with The Intersection, and he'll be here until for an hour. So he's going to be taking your calls as well. I'll see you again tomorrow night. Yeah, 10:30 Eastern Daylight Time. Eastern Time, rather. Same time, same station in life. And in the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye, everybody. See you later. Oh, by the way, wear a mask.